Hello and welcome to the Dagley Insurance and Financial Services KISD Football Roundup. I'm Brian Reese. This is Marcus Henneke.
KD is rolling. There's no doubt about it. Coming off a 61-point game 2 weeks ago, they put up 70 points last week against May Creek 7. Just a dominating game. They scored 70 points in 3 quarters, Brian. It just was amazing. So 574 total yards by Katy. 352 of those yards were on the ground and 222 in the air. They had 8 players in this game score touchdowns. So they had 4 running backs. One that stands out is Ricky Bickman. He had 90 yards on 6 attempts and averaged 15 yards with 3 touchdowns. Then you had 3 wide receivers all catching touchdown passes, with 1 defensive player catching an interception and running it 48 yards for a touchdown. Just impressive. They just never stop, and they seem to do this every year. They're once again on a state title track. May Creek managed to get on the scoreboard in the 3rd quarter. Troy McCormick had a 48-yard touchdown run and was able to help May Creek get off the schneid there. They had 111 total yards, and Katy actually held them to 4 first downs. So they're really doing it on both sides of the football, and I would not be surprised to see them make another deep run into the playoffs. Taylor falling just a bit short, losing to Katy Seven Lakes 33-23. Katy Taylor, for the most part, was in the lead most of this game until the 4th quarter, when Seven Lakes was able to score 14 points. Seven Lakes had 402 yards, total yards, 230 on the ground, and 172 in the air. Some standout folks here would be Braden West, running back for Seven Lakes, who had 22 attempts, rushing attempts for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Tatorian Bonds had 10 receptions for 129 yards and 1 TD. You know, it's tough to stomach for Katy Taylor. I know they've had a rough start out of the gate, and being an alum, I sure would like to see them get their first win and get that program rolling in the right direction. You know, again, having a halftime lead and letting it slip away in the 4th quarter, those will really wear on you as the season goes by. They did manage 205 yards of offense. They did have Clay Holgerson. That quarterback was probably their best player on the field. He completed 17 passes for 125 yards and did have a touchdown. Zaquavian Beasy, he had 10 rushes for 40 yards and accounted for their other touchdown. So 6 different receivers for Katy Taylor were able to get receptions, but again, they just didn't have enough going down the stretch, and the defense just couldn't hold up. When you wind up coming back and tying the game at the end and going into overtime, this one was really a thriller, with Katy Morton Ranch beating Cinco Ranch 38-35, which could be considered the upset of the week. Although Morton Ranch, you know, they're sporting a 4-1 record. They look pretty solid. Probably one of the better squads they've had. You know, Cinco Ranch did take this lead in the ball game in the 3rd quarter. They scored 14 unanswered, went up by a touchdown. Jamal James ran in for 2 yards. Adam Anderson caught a 10-yard pass from quarterback Cole Thomas in the 3rd, and then they also blocked a punt and ran it back 7 yards. So they really had the momentum, and it really had things swinging their way. They just weren't able to hold up at the end, and again, having that lead and letting it slip away is something we've seen in this district. You cannot go to sleep. It was amazing to see Dion Williams from May Creek, or from Morton Ranch, excuse me. He had a 96-yard touchdown pass with 40 seconds left in the game to tie that, and then once again they go and kick the field goal in overtime. Just a ton of offense, a ton of players. You know, Cinco Ranch, they did manage the 344 yards of offense. They had 49 rushes on the ground for 203 yards and managed to throw it for 141 yards. Again, Cole Thomas led the way with his passing touchdown. Jamal James ran those 2 touchdowns in. It looked like they had everything going their way. They just weren't able to hold on. I mean, no doubt, Katy Morton Ranch, I mean, they're known for their rushing yards. They didn't displease anybody here. They had 508 total yards. Almost 400 yards of that was on the ground. And like you said before, two huge passes, only 2 completions in the game for 111 yards, one being the most important, 50 seconds left in the game.
Dion Williams catches a pass from Quandre Washington for 96 yards to tie up the game. So absolutely nail biter to the end of the game.
Thanks for joining us for the KISD High School Roundup. I'm Brian Reese. This is Marcus Henneke. We are the Substitutes and hope to see you again soon.